February was a wild month in the Orange County housing market. Basically, all the trends that we've seen since the end of last year did a complete 180 over about a 3-week span, and everything got turned on its head. So how is that going to impact the March housing market in Orange County as we head over the next couple weeks? That's what we're going to talk about on today's episode. If you've watched the show before, thank you again for tuning in. I really appreciate it. If this is your first time here, hi, I'm Josh Alexander, your local real estate agent and host of Orange County Housing Market News, your one-stop shop for all things Orange County. So on this channel, we go over different tricks and tips on a weekly basis to help you win in today's market. So like I said, on today's episode, we're going to be talking about what to expect in the Orange County housing market for the month of March. So let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, I'm going to make this short and sweet because I'm getting over a cold. I don't want to lose my voice, so let's see if I can get through this without doing so. So over the last couple of weeks in February, we've seen inventory continue to drop in Orange County. In fact, we're hovering just over 2,000 homes on the market right now. And just to give you some context, if you look at the numbers prior to COVID, typically during this time of year, we have about 5,000 homes on the market. So Orange County is very undersupplied in inventory right now, which is leading to a lot of issues that we're going to get into in a second. Now, on the demand side of things, we really have to look at demand in two parts. We have to look at current demand, and then we have to look at future demand. So current demand is measured by how many homes are going into escrow, also called pending sales. So pending sales are actually up by about 18% over the last couple of weeks in Orange County. So more buyers have been getting into escrow to take advantage of some of those low rates that we saw at the beginning of February. Now, when you look at the other part of demand, which is future demand, which is measured by purchase application data, and that just basically means how many buyers are talking to a lender right now, trying to get that pre-approval so they can go out and look at a home. Purchase applications have been dropping 3 out of the last 4 weeks in February, which means that over the next 30 to 90 days, you can expect demand to continue to drop a little bit as well as less and less home buyers are entering the market. Now, this is completely abnormal for the February housing market. Typically during February, we see inventory slowly rise and demand slowly rise as we head towards the spring market, but we're seeing the exact opposite this year. So why is that? Well, it has everything to do with interest rates and inflation. So if you've watched the news at all over the last couple of weeks, you've seen that the inflation numbers that came out were not as good as everybody was hoping. And because of that, we saw the 10-year Treasury go up, and the 10-year Treasury goes up, which means mortgage rates go up as well. So mortgage rates have jumped by almost a full percent in February, which has caused a lot of home buyers to put the brakes on looking for a home. And now they're just sitting on the sidelines waiting for rates to come back down again to close to the 6% range, which is where they were at the beginning of February, whereas right now we're hovering almost at 7% again. So those high interest rates definitely explain why demand has gone down. Obviously, as homes become more expensive to purchase on a monthly basis, less and less home buyers are going to be able to afford that. But that doesn't really explain why inventory is dropping. Typically, if you see demand go down, you would expect inventory to start building on the market, and you start to see prices fall more dramatically as more and more inventory hits the market. But that hasn't really happened. That leads me to the second reason that interest rates are impacting today's market, which is something very unique that doesn't happen very often. And it basically only happens when we have a period of extremely low interest rates, followed by a quick upward tick in interest rates to very high rates, which impact affordability significantly. And what it's known as in the industry is called a mortgage rate lockdown. So let me explain. This basically means that sellers that are in their home, maybe they purchased a home or they refinanced during that great rate we had of 2% or 3%, are looking at moving and want to move. However, when rates are at 7%, even to move into the same price property they have right now, they're looking at almost doubling their payments to be able to get into that property. And that just doesn't make sense for the typical home seller, which is usually selling their home to purchase another one right now. When you're looking at double the mortgage payments, unless they actually have to move for some reason, whether it be a job relocation or something that they need to move, they're just sitting tight and not selling. And this is why we're seeing inventory drop as interest rates go up, because less and less sellers want to put their home on the market because they just can't afford to buy another one. So this phenomenon that doesn't happen very often is driving inventory lower while demand is getting lower at the same time, which is actually keeping the market semi-stable. Yes, prices are dropping slightly every month, but we're not seeing significant price drops week after week. We're seeing them slowly come down as they have been over the last 3 or 4 months. One of the most interesting side effects that I've seen this year that's happened in the housing market because of all this uncertainty is that when you see interest rates go up, inventory and demand are both going down. And when you see rates go down, you see demand and inventory go up. So when both supply and demand are moving in the same direction, you're not going to see any significant changes in the housing market because you need to have a very lopsided number to be able to see either home prices go up significantly, which we saw during COVID, or home prices crash, like what happened in the last housing crisis in 2008, because we had way too much inventory on the market and just not enough demand. Right now, it seems like no matter what interest rates are doing, supply and demand are moving together, which is something you just don't see very often, and it's leading to a more stable housing market. So what does this all mean as we head into March in the Orange County housing market? Well, it looks like we're going to be much of the same. So all the trends that we've seen over the last 3, 4, 5 months, expect that to continue. We expect to see home prices slowly go down because interest rates are higher, demand and inventory are both low, so don't expect them to drop significantly. However, by the end of March, there's a good chance that home values will be slightly lower than they are at the beginning right now. So if you're a home buyer or a home seller, what does this all mean for you? So let's go ahead and look at buyers first. Okay, so buyers. So there's basically 3 things that I want you to know as we go into March if you're thinking about buying homes. So number 1, if you're a typical buyer, like 90% of buyers out there who is purchasing the home for the long term, you're going to be living in it with you and your family, and you're not trying to do flips, or you're not trying to make a quick profit, then really the biggest thing that you should be looking at is that monthly mortgage payment. Can you afford the monthly mortgage payment without financially stressing yourself in the area you want to be? Maybe you're not getting all the amenities you want or every feature you want in the house, but can you get into a home in the neighborhood you want to be in the school system you want to be in, for the monthly mortgage payment? If so, then you should continue looking for a home. Now, if you don't know that information, you don't know exactly how much you can afford, this is the time that you need to talk to a lender. It's completely free. Give them your financial information. It only takes 24, maybe 48 hours to do so. And they'll be able to tell you what you can afford, what you can't afford. And that's going to make it a lot easier to plan to figure out if you can actually purchase a home in the area you want to purchase in, or if you need to wait a little bit longer and either reduce your debts, increase your income, or find a co-borrower or some other way to be able to help you get into a home rate. So the second thing you know as a buyer right now is that interest rates are back to being volatile again. They've gone all over the place over the last couple of weeks, which means that if you're placing offers right now, you need to make sure that you contact your lender right before you place the offer. I'm talking about at least within 24 hours of placing the offer, to figure out what the current rates are, what your current mortgage is going to be, to make sure that you can afford the home that you're placing an offer in. With rates going all over the place right now, some buyers are running into issues where one day they can afford the home, 2 days later they can no longer afford it. So you need to make sure you're in constant communication with your lender to make sure that you can actually afford to purchase the home that you're placing offers in on. And then third thing for buyers is that you need to be able to have patience for 2 main reasons right now. So number 1, inventory, like I said, is extremely low. It means if you're a little bit nitpicky on the home that you want, or you're just trying to find a home in a very specific area, it might take you weeks or even more than a month to find that right home to even start placing offers on. So if you're thinking about moving in the summertime, you probably want to start looking relatively soon, because it could take you a month or 2 to find the right place, because inventory is just so low that there's just not a lot of options available right now. And now the second reason you need to have patience is that, yes, interest rates are going all over the place. And like I said before, you could have a situation where 1 week you can afford the type of home that you want to be in, and maybe a week later you can't. So you have to be able to be okay sitting on the sideline for a week or 2 or maybe 3 as the interest rates are fluctuating before you're able to purchase a home again. So if you're not comfortable with that, then you have to understand this might not be the market for you until we see some kind of stability in interest. Okay, so if you're a buyer watching this, you're kind of getting scared about trying to enter the housing market right now, there are some silver linings that you do want to make sure that you remember. So number 1, even in crazy years, typically in March, you're always going to see inventory end the month higher than when it started. So if you're trying to find a home, you can't find the right house for you right now, over the next couple of weeks, we should start seeing more and more inventory hit the market in Orange County. Number 2, yes, inflation numbers were worse this month than what a lot of people expected. However, over the long run, over the next couple months, almost all experts are predicting right now inflation will continue to go down. So that means that interest rates will typically follow. So over the long run, you should start seeing interest rates go down, not only through the month of March, but hopefully through the rest of the year as we get to summer as well, which means housing payments will become more and more affordable. And then number three, we are continuing to see prices drop in the Orange County housing market, not in all places, but in a lot of places, which means that as every week goes by, homes are becoming more affordable. Over the long run, interest rates should be going down, and you should have more inventory to select from as we head through March, going into the summertime as well. So keep that in mind if you're thinking about buying a house. There's no reason not to get that pre-approval to figure out exactly what you can afford, and if you can't afford a home right now, what you need to do to be able to get there, so that way you are ready when the time comes to be able to look for your first home, and you can make sure that you're getting the best rate as well as the best deal on the home as possible. Okay, so now for the selling side of things. So let's say you're a typical seller that's looking to sell their property and move to another one, but you just think the mortgage payments are going to be way too high. Well, the best advice I have for you is you need to make sure that you have all the financial data in front of you to be able to make that decision. So if you had a home that you purchased maybe 5 years ago, 10 years ago, obviously you've had a lot of appreciation happen in the market since then. So you need to be able to figure out how much your home is currently worth, figure out how much you're going to net from the sale, and then talk to a lender about putting that as a down payment and what your payments would be with this new higher interest rate. Until you have all of that data in front of you, it's going to be extremely hard to make an educated decision on what's going to be best and if you can afford to step up to that new home without significantly increasing your mortgage. So first, talk to your trusted real estate agent, have them run a comparable analysis report on your home to figure out, one, how much it's worth, and two, how much you'd net from the sale based on all the fees as well as how much you have left on your mortgage. And then you can take that information to the lender, have them run the numbers for you, and now you have everything in front of you. Now, if you're on the other side of selling, where you don't need to buy another home, you just need to sell your current home, you just need to get it on the market as soon as you can. Like I said previously, home values are slowly going down week after week, so there's no reason for you to wait to get it on the market at this point, because the longer you wait, the more your value is going to fall. So you need to make sure you get it on the market, market it properly to be able to get the max amount of dollars on that home as possible. Now, how do you get the max profit from your home? That's probably the most common question I do get from sellers. So if you want some free resources on what you can be doing to get your house ready and to make sure it's marketed properly, to make sure you are getting the maximum dollar amount for your home, feel free to comment below, DM, depending on where you're watching this. Give me a contact and I'll be able to get that information over to you and make sure you have an understanding of what you need to do to make sure you're maximizing your profit. So the last thing I want to go over for sellers is if you're a typical seller that maybe locked in that low interest rate and wants to move, but they can't right now because it just doesn't make sense with those higher interest rates and the higher mortgage payments, have you considered taking your current home and renting it out? Right now, because rates are so low, oftentimes your mortgage rate is very low as well, which means that if you rent your property, because rental prices have gone up significantly over the last couple of years as well, you might be able to profit a few $100s a month by keeping that home as a rental, and you can take that and apply it to your new mortgage to help offset some of those costs. And then on top of that, you also could look into some of the loan products out there. For instance, the 2-1 buy down could help you get a temporary lower interest rate to be able to make that jump into a new home a little bit more manageable and not such of a big difference. Now, yes, this is not a product for everybody. You need to talk to your lender, make sure you understand the financing involved, but this is something that more and more sellers are doing because number one, you now have a rental property. It's appreciating over the long term. You're getting a monthly income check every single month. It's a great way to build your wealth. But number two, by doing that, it gives you some more flexibility to have a higher mortgage payment without having to have that big of a difference compared to what you're paying right now. So if you haven't explored that option yet, it's something you might be interested in. Talk to your real estate agent. Have them run the numbers for you on how much your home could rent for. Talk to a lender about that 2-1 buy down program. Again, just have all the information in front of you so you can make a good financial decision for you and your family, if it makes sense at that point to be able to upgrade to a new home, because the payments wouldn't be that significantly different. So if you're a buyer that's just not sure what you can afford right now, what type of programs are out there for down payment assistance to help you lower your interest rate, or you just have some questions about the home buying process, or if you're a seller that wants to know what your property is worth, wants to know how much you would make from the sale, and maybe some different options out there for the lending side of things for you, feel free to ask those questions to me anytime. You can book a discovery call with me by clicking on the comment section below, the link in my bio, or just DMing me depending on what platform you're watching this on. and we can go over your personal finances to figure out what might be the best option for you, and if it actually makes sense for you either to buy or sell a home right now, or if you wait a little bit longer. So again, make sure you click that link if you want to have just a friendly conversation to figure out what might be a good move for you in the future. So I hope you found this information useful today. If you did, can you please hit that like, share, and subscribe button below? I would really appreciate it. And until next week, stay happy, stay healthy, and I'll see you on the next show. Bye.